Sorry, Jesus Christ, I messed it up already. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to episode 5 of Patch Notes, the Home Games podcast. I'm your regular host, Yazid, and this is Joseph, also your regular host.
Hi, I wasn't expecting that. That was a lot of energy.
I feel like I had to make it big for episode 5, you know? It's not every day you get episode 5.
But we didn't do the thing. We didn't do that. This is episode 5, and today is November 16th. So, I mean, we could...
I said welcome to episode 5 of Patch Notes, the Home Games podcast.
Oh, see, that's proof I don't listen to you.
Jesus.
Yeah.
It's also November 16th in the year 2019 of our Lord and Savior, Jeff Bezos. How you doing, bud?
I'm good.
What's happening?
I'm good. I'm excited about episode 5. It feels like a milestone of some sorts. It's like a halfway to 10, which will be a real milestone. But
yeah, so I wanted to ask you this. Do you think it would be better if we do the standard like 5, 10, like and so on, like power, like not powers, but like multiples of 5, or do you think we should switch to powers of 2 and do like 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, so on?
What are you asking me right now?
Do you think we should celebrate on multiples of 5 or powers of 2?
I don't know. I think it should be. I think it's the 10, 100, or maybe like 10, 50 type thing. It's like ages. It's like you don't really care about turning 30. Well, maybe you do. I don't know. Whatever.
If we're doing like ages, are we gonna celebrate 18 and 21?
No, because that's such an American
Should we do a
view.
quinceañera on 16?
That's 15, bud. But yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, I don't know. 10 feels like the next milestone, and then 20 probably after that. I don't think we'd care so much on 40, but 50 is the one, And then 75 is one of those just numbers. It's like a cool number, but you don't really care about episode 75. And then 100, that's the one. But that's in like 2 years.
Do you think we should do one on the 17th? Because both of our birthdays are on the 17th.
Yeah, just tell them our social security numbers too, Yazid. Just
You see, the joke is I don't even know my own social security number, so it's fine.
But yeah, 17. That'd be
rad.
Yeah, I like it.
Okay. Well, that settles that. Now, the next thing on the last episode, which hasn't aired at this point, but you and I were both a part of, we talked about playing medium / the regular game / the mind meld at the start of the podcast to see how well we're in tune with each other.
Yeah, sure, we could do that. It's still totally busted, so let me get the other laptop out.
All right. Take your time.
Speaking of other laptops, did you see that new MacBook? Pretty nice.
I heard it doesn't have the butterfly keyboard.
Yeah, it's got I guess something similar to their older keyboard switches. I'm most excited about the touch bar. You get an escape key back. That's the biggest feature on a $4,000 laptop for me is a physical escape key.
I honestly didn't know that they didn't have an escape key.
I mean, the touch bar is like the worst idea ever. It's like, okay, imagine that you've built up years and years of skill, I guess, with a keyboard and not really needing to look at where you're typing or whatever, your hands. You don't need to look at your hands. That's the whole point of a keyboard. Let's put a touch screen on it, so you have to look at it, but only on one row of keys, and that whole thing is like also your escape key. So if let's say that you use Vim or anything like that, where you kind of hitting the escape key is like a home base often, when that one thing is a flat glass surface and everything else is a key, it'll completely ruin everything. At least for me.
I heard that car manufacturers running into a similar problem where people no longer have the like tactile feel for their like control panel because it's all like just a touch screen, so people have to look at it, which kind of defeats the purpose.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's like hands free everything, hands on the wheel, look at the road, but also here's this crazy awesome CarPlay, Apple Music, touch screen craziness. It's like, okay, well, I'm trying to kill me.
So my word is immerse, and Joseph's word.
It's the words. It's so okay. Also, we're playing right now. That was not. We hit new game. I also don't think this will work because it's already saying that we're green in the top right. So I think this is just the broken. I mean, here's what we'll do. Here's what we'll do, Yazid. I'll edit this part out. I'll go and restart this server so we can actually play this.
I mean, the other option is we could just play this verbally.
No, because that's dumb.
Okay. Understandable.
There's also sequels that I've forgotten about. Okay. Anyway, I've restarted the game server. And there you go. So this one should work, at least for the first round. And then, yeah, like I mentioned, this has not changed at all from the last time we recorded because I worked on the website, not the app. So it's like... Anyway.
All right. Let's do this.
The words are jockette and kites. Like, jockette is, I'm assuming, female jock? Is that what that word means? Because
I don't know. I have to look it up.
No, that's the rule. No looking up, because these words are all nonsense to us.
Oh, God. Okay, and I'm going to say kites is like a bite, but somewhere between a bit and a bite, you know?
Yeah, because it's spelled with a Y for all the listeners out there.
Yeah. So a female jock and something between a bit and a bite.
Okay.
God.
Okay.
I'll mute myself while I type. All right. This doesn't work, but I think it works.
See, I don't... Okay. All right, I readied up. 3, 2, 1... Okay.
Hungry Instagram? What does that mean?
Well, you put dudette, so that kind of makes sense. You know, jockette.
That's
dudette.
similar to a jockette.
I mean, it's similar to a jockette, but you're not really incorporating kite in there. You know, I feel like if you incorporate kite, you'll get hungry Instagram. Let me tell you why. Hungry comes from the fact that it was. So you said between a bit and a bite. I understand that that's it's a one thing versus 8 things, but really those two just kind of sound like food, you know? You bit the food, you bite the food. And then you said halfway between a bit and a bite, which if you remember from school is a nibble. That's 4 bits.
Yes.
Right,
yes.
So that's all food related. So then, okay, hungry. And it's like, what does a jockette do? Well, I imagine someone in high school or college or something like that, and I imagine a varsity jacket. And because there's the technology thing, because bit, bite, nibble, etc., I'm thinking websites and apps. What's popular with the youth? Instagram. What is a popular youth doing on Instagram? I don't know, but they're hungry. Hungry Instagram. I'm really disappointed that you didn't get this as well.
When you explained it like that, though, it makes perfect sense. I understood immediately why hungry when you said bit bite. I was like, he's going to go with the food angle. The nibble thing, I forgot about actually until you reminded me.
Yeah.
The Instagram thing also makes sense. I went with dudette because it's, I think, somewhere between a lady and a jockette. Like, you're just a dudette, you know?
Sure. But I mean, the lady wasn't one of the words you basically were like, well, kite, what is that? I'm gonna do a synonym for dudette or for jockette.
Whoa. I think there's a big difference between a lady and a jockette, just saying.
Oh yeah, for sure. Anyway,
okay, wait, we need to do this again. We gotta get to the center.
We
do? Get to the center. Yeah.
Okay.
But I think we have to do the rest of this verbally, because if we click be cool or nah, they both go away.
Yeah, but watch this. I can just restart it in like 10 seconds and we'll be good.
Okay.
You live in a dark life these days. Server's back up, by the way.
Okay.
I'm right. Stormbelt Glossopyros. Well, I cannot read this.
I'm Shargar Gabardine, which actually is great.
Shargar Gabardine. You're a merchant in Oblivion. Okay.
But I'm like a trash merchant. Like, I have many goods for wares. Okay, so my word is pseudo-sensational. And Joseph's word is imbi.
Imbi is.
Listen, it's like in StarCraft 2, Protoss are Imba, alright? That's what we're going with.
I've never played that game, and this word is IMBE, and I've never seen this in my life.
I don't know. It reminds me of imba, which means imbalance in StarCraft 2 speak.
Okay.
All right, so pseudo-sensational and imba. Oh, God. Oh, Lord. I know 100% we're going to be on different wavelengths.
We'll see. It's
Simba. And I said Terran.
I just told you I've never played StarCraft in my life.
Terran is actually Imba in StarCraft, despite Zerg winning like a lot of tournaments. Why Simba?
Because it was pseudo-sensational and an Imba, and I was like, well, pseudo-sensational just sounds like the vibe of a feeling. And what does Imba feel like? Well, that feels like Simba.
All right. I like your explanation for pseudo-sensational. It's the vibe of a feeling.
Yeah, it's like the derivative of a vibe. It's like the vibe of a vibe.
Hell yeah. Okay. Jesus. Shargar Gabardine and Stormbent Glycopyrosis is not, and we're not on the same wavelength here, clearly.
I think we're good, though, because we really vibed the vibe on the pseudo-sensational, you know? We felt
Yeah, we had the feeling of a vibe, you know? I forgot be cool and nah don't work.
Yeah, the buttons, I mean, that was the point where I was like, oh, what should these buttons do? Oh, we need like a score and a leaderboard. I'll do that later. And then I built a website instead. So, you know.
Hold please. I think oh, there we go. He is a professional developer.
Wouldn't say that either.
All right, you describe yourself then.
Yeah, you introduce yourself, JC.
Amateur developer in a professional setting. Kind of just drifting. But I'm here for my friends. That's all you need to know. Keep
There
your
you have
distance.
All right.
He's our good
Now,
friend. We've known him for a very long time, similar to Yazid. I've actually known JC just slightly longer than I've known Yazid. So
it's true.
that'll definitely...
Interestingly, I know JC slightly longer than I know Joseph.
JC is like the through line between all of us, really.
Yeah, kind of. He's the glue.
Yeah.
He's the rubber cement.
I think
Now,
if you guys hadn't met me, one of you would have killed the other one.
yeah, well, Joseph was pretty close to killing me, deservedly, but pretty close to killing me. We actually didn't get along. But we'll get into that maybe like episode 10 or something when we're in person.
That'll be our episode 10 special where we just have a fist fight on camera.
All right, we're in the same recording location, and we're gonna box.
So I wanted to open up with just a real quick question. Did you hear that My Chemical Romance is doing a reunion
Absolutely.
thing?
And I'm ready for the Black Parade.
Did you hear that it was like $3,000 or something for a ticket?
It should be. You kidding me? Hot Topics are gonna blow up.
What's your hot take on this, Joseph?
I actually like My Chemical Romance. I like that Black Parade album. That was the
you
first
like
one.
Teenagers, buddy?
Yeah, I actually do like that song.
Yeah. God, Guitar Hero.
No, that was the one. There was a girl I liked in middle school, and she was really into My Chemical Romance.
Do you
and
drop
so,
names in this show?
No.
We try not to.
Well, I don't. It doesn't really matter. I
Let's
don't
call
know
him
this person
Binky.
anymore. Yeah, this girl Binky. She was really into My Chemical Romance, and so I burned a CD for her of that new album, and I had a very slow internet, so it took a very long time to get those songs. And
That's kind of cute, though.
You saying you illegally downloaded those songs?
no, I'm just saying I got them online. My internet was slow. I'm not saying anything that would incriminate me.
Yeah.
Very good. All right.
But
We
yeah.
got him.
I actually don't think I was a big fan of My Chemical Romance, so I'm not super big into it. I just wanted to ask because I didn't even know they broke up. Somebody told me they broke up in like 2010 or something like that, and I was like, wow, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I'll also be honest, I only know like 3 songs.
Yeah, I only know Black Parade, like that album. I don't know. I couldn't name another one.
Black Parade, Teenager, and Helena, I think, are the 3 songs I know.
Are those from the same album?
I think one of them's from a different one.
I don't know Helena or whatever, but the first 2 are from Black Parade album.
Yeah. Because you ever just look, like, the name of one of their albums was 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge, and the album cover was like, yeah, that's about middle school era. It's like 2 people who are like a portrait of 2 faces about to kiss, but there's like blood. It's like, yeah, that's emo.
Yeah. It's like I was listening to some Red Jumpsuit Apparatus, getting deep into that era lately. It's fun.
Oh.
I don't know.
I still listen to old Fall Out Boy.
Yeah, that stuff is good. Like, it's fun to make fun of, but it's fun to listen to also. So I'll, like, roast myself for listening to what I like. It's fine.
Well, have you actually been listening to Red Jumpsuit Apparatus, or was that a joke?
They're the ones with the song Face Down, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that song. I play that song every now and then. That's, like, the only song.
All right, look, this can go back into the podcast, but what do you talk about on a date? Let's go with that. I don't know.
I've never been on a date, but I think you should probably just talk about what you guys are interested in. You should ask questions about, like, you ask questions to JC or me.
Mm-hmm.
Just the same thing. What kind of movies you like? What do you do for a living? Do you like pants or shorts more? Do you think
what you been listening to lately?
Yeah.
Fall Out Boy.
Ask them about freaking My Chemical Romance. You just gotta ask them questions.
You a chemical head? I don't know what they call them.
I think that's just asking for a drug taker.
They just pull out a bag of meth.
That could be a question.
Secretly, Joseph and I are mind melded. You just don't know when we play the game. The thing is that I think when I'm with you guys, I'm totally chill. I can ask whatever. I'm totally fine being stupid, and we all laugh about it. I'm very uncomfortable around strangers. So very uncomfortable.
It's the dumbest advice, but like seriously, just like think about who you are and then operate like yourself. Like ask questions and say things as if you were you.
Pretend that I'm regular Yazid.
Pretend that
and just act.
Pretend they're not a stranger. Really try to be comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the best idea. Act like you already know the person and make a bunch of assumptions.
Name the firecrackers.
Okay. I didn't know that. I don't know anything about firecrackers. I'm not
friends.
Fireboy.
I have news. I met Young Thug. I didn't tell you guys that.
Oh yeah, I saw the picky.
Wait, really?
Dude, we met Young Thug.
What did you say to him?
I just said I love you, and he said thank you. They gave us so much. They gave us so many instructions on what to say, what not to say. It was like, it was crazy. They were like, well, don't look at him too long. Don't try to talk to him. Don't say anything. Don't try to be funny. Just get your selfie picture and leave. Like, not your back camera. Use your selfie camera. You have to do this. And it was like freaking out about the instructions. But he seemed nice. He just seemed like he didn't really want to be there, which I get it because it was 1 a.m. and why would you?
Tired.
Who do you think reacted better, him or Kid Cudi, to you saying "I love you"?
Oh, Kid Cudi, because he said "I love you too, man," and he actually meant it. Because he like stopped what he was doing, and then looked me in the eye. It was like "I love you too, man," and then
Kissed you on the mouth.
went back into the pose for the photo. He really meant it.
That's awesome. Okay. I'm glad you got to meet Young Thug and Kid Cudi, and then one day, if you get to meet Kanye, you will have met your big 3.
Yeah, then I can. I mean, I don't really know what to do after that, so I think.
Die.
Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah.
Do you think you'll get a chance to meet Kanye?
I don't think I'll ever meet. No, not at all.
Even in like 10 years when he's not super duper famous anymore?
I don't think there'll ever be a time where Kanye isn't super duper famous. He's achieved like that level of celebrity where he'll just always be that level of celebrity. It's Kanye West, dude.
I feel like there's plenty of time in the future. Like, imagine when he's like 70 and you can be like, meet him at his book signing.
How you doing? I'm surviving.
Hey, it's me, Joseph.
And maybe we'll see. I'm not saying I'll never meet Kanye. I just think if I met Kanye, then that would be a completely different world or a completely different life than the one I think I'm going to have. Where it's like, okay, well, I'll become a rapper tomorrow and then have Kanye make me a beat next month.
And then use them at stores, like pay with those pennies, because the chance that that person has your butt penny, and that gives you some strange power over them. Because in your head, you know that they're holding something that was up your butt.
Home Games Podcast, episode 5.
Yeah. All right. So,
home games. How is this
you asked what it was. You asked. I had to explain.
Yeah, but then it's just it went down.
opened up.
There's nowhere to go from that explanation. It's just an old skit.
You brought up butt pennies. Like, you really wanted...
I didn't want... I thought you guys knew. I knew.
I did know.
Well, then...
I'm not just familiar with butt pennies.
Okay. So, JC, I have some questions for you then. Let's say you were at a party, all right? And you wanted to play games with your pals, all right?
Well,
but you
my
obviously
pals
don't
are
have
at this
enough
party.
controllers for your pals.
Alright, it's a pal party. Not a,
It's
like
a pal party.
Not with strangers. Okay.
Would you be willing to test home games with your pals?
Yeah.
There we go.
JC,
Now-
would you, you know JavaScript. Why haven't you built anything in home games yet?
Well, the thing is, I'm bad at what I do. And
Why do you think that, JC?
All right.
I don't know. I literally don't ever do projects on my own, and I don't know how to start.
Would you like to help me make a game in December?
If you help me know how to start.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of this is just going to be me.
I need a
and
lot
you
of
going
hand
through
holding.
it. Huh?
I need a lot of hand holding.
That's fine.
Everything
and I are
I've
gonna
learned is just
Go through together.
There's always been stuff already there that I've built upon,
Yeah.
and I
Well, so
also
hopefully
don't think I know JavaScript.
there will be stuff to build upon it as well. But the idea is that in December I'm gonna make a game, and if you want to help me make a game, you can. But we're gonna make a game in December
So the current
using everything we have.
Yeah, the current kind of goal, JC, is that so we have. I don't know if you listen to the podcast, but I'm going to assume you don't. But we basically have these two games.
This is on a podcast.
We have these two games. We really have a bunch of games, but most of them are broken proofs of concept or proof of concepts, whatever. We have a word match game, which is basically 2 words on the screen. The players have to put in the word that they feel is the middle point between those 2 words, and if those words match between those 2 players, then you get like a point or whatever. Anyway, that's one, and then the other one is a simple card game. Once those two are finished, which my deadline for that is the end of the month, and deadline is really just goal for us that we set ourselves. So then Yazid kind of has tools that I used to build those two games, and then Yazid can go and build his own thing and then kind of give me feedback on the tools. And so if you want to do the same, either on your own or with Yazid or whatever, with whatever, with me,
Right.
then that'd be good. And I think the benefit, I mean, this is me telling you why I think home games is good, but there's not really a whole lot there that's been built on top of. It's a WebSocket library that's totally magic to me, and then a bunch of other code that it's messy, but you can read it all, and so it's not like a bunch of magic you have to go spend an entire month to go and learn, and maybe you'll feel some like power because you realize that you actually know more than you think or whatever. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. I actually think JC would be the perfect person, like as we go through, for like feedback on how we're doing in terms of our tools generation and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because JC's somewhere in between not knowing anything at all about programming and knowing less than the creator of JavaScript, whose name I forgot from last time.
Brandon
Michael
Ike.
JavaScript.
Brandon Ike.
Brandon Ike or something? Ike. E-I-C-H. Ike.
E-I-C-H.
I think that's the one. I don't know how to say that word.
Too is that JC hasn't been on the team for months now, so he might actually be a really good candidate for somebody to look at what's going on and to figure your stuff out.
For sure.
Would be perfect. Because one of the things that hit me on the episode 3 with you and Synovia was that one of the things she said was that we went off into the weeds sometimes of like really in-depth technical talk, which made zero sense to some of the people that were listening, probably.
Well, I think what she was saying is that because she was saying in general that we're technical, that we're technically focused. No, I think she was talking about in general it's a technical thing, not about us finding one specific thing and going way too technical in the moment. I think it's if we're talking about WebSockets and GitHub, then it's already, in her opinion or from her view, over her head. Yeah. Which, I mean, is true. You know, she doesn't know what either of those things are. So, I think we kind of, I think I said it in that podcast, but we kind of have to establish that at some point, people who are listening to this thing would eventually learn or know enough or whatever to infer what we're talking about, that whole thing. And then if we want to get kind of a beginner, I don't think that beginner would want to start at a podcast. That beginner would probably want a tutorial. Like a nice, simple, quick tutorial to say, okay, you're starting from scratch and then you built Pong. That's cool, right? It's 50 lines of code. That's cool, right? Okay, you can build this and this and this and kind of going.
Oh, that should be my game. I should make Pong.
The physics would be hard. I actually built a version of Pong a long time ago, and it.
What about Frogger?
Wog.
Yeah, that seems doable. The collision detection's already there. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it's up to you. I don't want to really give input, but
yeah. I think I'll make Frogger. Oh, I'll try to. If you want to help, JC.
I mean,
you don't have to agree right now, but
I'm going to need it in
writing that you're going to help me.
Just come over
maybe it's a multiplayer Frogger because it's multiplayer, so it's like someone controls the cars and someone controls the frog.
No.
Yeah. That'd be cute.
Wouldn't that be cool? Especially, I don't know. Whatever. I don't want to give input. Sorry. Just do whatever.
No. I accept input because my idea was actually to make a soccer game, and then I realized thinking about it right now how hard that would be to make a soccer game.
Yeah. Making it's crazy.
There is a multiplayer version of Frogger, by the way, where everyone plays as Froggers and has to get to
the end.
Oh, it's just multiple frogs?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
That works too.
I mean, we wouldn't have to like gate it because there can only be like so many people trying to cross at once. But yeah, and I think one of the rules is that like another person isn't supposed to get on to the same spot as you. So like you can't all stack up on one log. Like you can't all stack up on the same pixel, basically. So you can block people that you don't want to get across, basically.
I don't know if we have this yet, but you would need like a would collide. So it's like if I were to move here, would I hit something?
Well, I mean, that's kind of the idea, right? As we're going through this, figuring out like, oh, what are we missing? And then adding that in then going from there.
We do have that already. Sorry, we have.
Do we?
Yeah, we have in the move test, or one of the things in order to check if a square can move to another point, it checks, it basically calls check collisions from the squisher with what would be its new coordinates. So it's like, hey, I'm going to move to this spot. Is there anything there?
That makes sense. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So then we have it. But yeah, like I think the idea is for me to go through and as I'm building out stuff, just figuring out like, oh, what are we missing? What do we need?
Yeah.
Can we do this? What we have currently? And if we can't, what tools do we need to build in order to finish it?
How involved in that should I be? Let's say that it's 2 weeks into December and you guys have something and you realize that you need new tooling in Squisher or something like that. Or there's a bug that's just really dumb to fix. Like,
I think that the podcast should be check-ins.
Oh, right. We have
like,
a podcast.
Literally like stand-ups, like where you and I are like, or if JC's going to join us like through December, then be like, okay, look, we hit this thing and hard to get through. I can't figure it out. What do you think? And then we go from there.
So am I just
straight up like traditional stand-ups?
Am I just like smoking blunts all December? Like, what am I doing? What's my goal?
No, I mean, you can help us also.
That could be your goal.
It's not like I'm going to be like, Joseph can't touch this project at all through December. I think it would be more like I come up with the game and then we distribute out the pieces and we start working on it and we figure out what we need to do.
That works for
And then
me.
as we hit things, just like letting everyone know, like, hey, I'm here, I'm there. Because I think also like it would give people some insight, especially people who aren't already professional developers, on like how a team should function.
I don't know if
Where
this is how a
you
team
have three
should
people
function.
working on the same. What?
I don't know if this is how a team should function. It's just how
You telling me a team shouldn't talk to each other?
No, a team should talk to each other, but this is not actually a job, so I don't think.
No, it's not an actual job. I mean, in theory, your actual job, you should talk more than once a week.
Yeah, I guess is what I'm saying. This is not actually representative
Yeah.
of a real company or
No.
business.
But I meant like what a stand-up could be like. Be like, hey,
yeah,
this is where we're at.
Yeah,
This is what we need to do.
Yeah.
Kind of deal. Like keeping everything kind of moving through.
that makes sense.
Because it is somewhat similar. It's not like totally different. It's like an in-between professional and no organization at all.
Yeah. I also really like the timing of it, just because it'll be December when you guys get that, and then kind of, January, new decade, all that kind of stuff. Kind of starting fresh with tools that work, and then a bunch of ways to make it better. It just seems like a good start for next year.
Yeah. I mean, also would be on track for our 2021 finish date.
Oh, right, yeah.
That's
Finish, whatever that means.
Oh, we said it would be like
Boring game.
the game system is out, like you can build games on it, and there's like a small library of games that are already built.
You're meeting Kanye.
Just
yeah.
as Kanye.
Yeah, Kanye is like, man, played home games the other day. Super fire. Come to my studio. I'll make you a beat.
How wild would it be if all that did happen and Kanye was like, I'm going to perform at your wedding?
Oh my god. Actually, Synovia wouldn't be down because she's not really a Kanye fan anymore. So that would be a ultimate turn of events, and that I end up marrying
Would
Kanye.
you have to turn down Kanye?
No, I'd end up marrying Kanye.
Oh. Okay, so we kind of mentioned this kind of throughout that previous part of the conversation, but we did have a couple of deadlines that we wanted to put out there. So the first deadline is on me and possibly now JC, depending on what his final decision is, that I need to make a game in December, which means that Joseph and I now have a final deadline for the 2 games. It's not called Slaps, it's called
Slapjack, but we're going to call it Slaps
Slapjack.
because Tynan sent me a thing, and he was like, hey man, listen to the podcast. There's actually a bunch more rules to Slapjack. You have to do this and this, because he plays card games like really, really. So
Yeah, that man's a gambler.
So yeah, he was like, this is how it actually works. So it feels wrong to call the game Slapjack, so we'll call it Slaps. And it'll be like a thing, because in 2 years or however many years, someone will go back and be like, what is this home games thing? I see that there's a game called Slaps in it. And then they can go back to see that episode 2 was called Slaps. And you're like, oh wow, here's the story. The story of Slaps.
See, but this is the end of the story, though. This is like a character arc for this game. But yeah, so finishing Slaps, not Slapjack anymore. And are we calling it regular or medium or mind meld? What are we calling this one?
I'm calling it Word Match just because I don't want to rip off someone's existing brand. I mean, it's the idea that I'll rip off for sure, but I'm not going to take their name.
That's fair. Okay. So there we go. So yeah, so those are the 2 deadlines we wanted to put out there. If you have ideas for a game that I can build that isn't Frogger, you can tweet at a tweet.
You can tweet at us. That's word, yeah.
Tweet at us, yeah.
No, yeah.
Email us, yeah. There's a lot of ways to contact us. We also accept viewer questions, which we haven't gotten yet.
I was just going to
So,
say,
you know.
if you want to be the first person to ever have an email featured on the podcast, podcast@homegames.io. We have an email address. It's also
You
We
guys,
also have a Twitter, and you can tweet at us.
you guys got a Patreon?
Not yet.
we do actually.
What?
Yeah.
This guy
I-
knows what's up.
I made one a long time ago. I just never put anything on it. I just wanted to have it in case we ever,
Pop off.
yeah. Anyway, we got the whole thing. We can also talk about the website at this point, Izzy, because
Yeah, I was going to bring that up now. Okay, so Joseph has some big news to tell and I'll give it to him.
I wouldn't say it's big news. We have a website. Homegames.io is up, and it works. You could go to it, and there's HTML there that actually is valid. You go and put that into his HTML validator, and I don't know. It's got all of our stuff on it. I embedded a podcast player in there as well, so people can listen to the podcast within our website. It's got all of our email addresses, so you can contact us individually. It's got all of that stuff there. It's got our podcast info. It's got a link to the GitHub, as well as kind of like my little warning, I'd call it, of like, hey, don't actually look at this or read this or check it out or try to run it, because woof. But hey, home games.
Yeah.
And
I like the color scheme. It matches very closely with the graphic that we have.
Yeah, I did a color
it's
picker.
super solid, man. Like,
Yeah.
I would assume that this was like Squarespace template. That's how good it looks. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
Looks like a podcast would advertise this. Makes me hungry. You know that?
Does it? Does
Because the
home games-
colors yellow and red invoke
Oh yeah.
appetite.
Oh yeah, that's the McDonald's strategy. We're a young McDonald's.
But you've got this crisp kind of aqua teal situation going on, and it freshens it up.
Thank you, JC. I'm glad you're a fan of our design team, which is Synovia, and
I
that.
put this on a T-shirt. Would you wear it?
See, if we put
Yeah.
okay. Here's a thing that I might not put into the podcast, but I just kind of want to tell you guys. That's a good question, JC, because if we were to ever sell a shirt that has the home games thing on it, that money would go somewhere. Who decides what money, like who owns home games? Who owns blah, blah, blah.
You.
Point of the story is that today, home games doesn't exist. It's a simple name and a thing that we say with words, but there is no entity called home games. Therefore, I need to register an LLC to actually make myself like an official CEO or whatever of a Home Games LLC, and then make that an actual business entity. So in the case that we ever did want to have, let's say, money going to a Patreon where money is distributed to employees, or money going towards people for merch, that would have to be distributed via an LLC or go to an LLC and then all that way, not just me personally. So Synovia is looking into that and all that, which is like
That's awesome.
fucking crazy. But I don't know. What do you want to be? Like I guess it's like I said, we don't have titles, but we kind of need titles.
Can
now.
we make up
Yeah,
titles,
you can
or do
do
we
whatever
have
you
to have
want.
like a? Can I be Big Dog?
You could be Big Dog.
Yeah.
I have you as Tech Dude on the thing now because I was like asking Synovia, what should we call ourselves? And she's like, well, you'd be CEO, right? And I was like, no, there's nothing to chief executive over. And then she's like, well, you need to be CTO. And I was like, well, we don't have titles. And so it's just main tech dude, and then business lady.
Yeah, man, we don't have labels. We went over this in one of the previous podcasts.
Yeah,
We're
but-
just wheeling and dealing.
But now that it has to be official at a certain point, it's
Yeah.
like dealing with the
I
reality.
think
of
Tech Dude is a good title for me. I like it.
God.
I think Big Dog is just too vague.
You could do big tech dog. You could do tech dog.
Yeah, tech deck, dude.
Okay, we talked about the podcast.
Also, I would definitely wear a Home Games branded T-shirt, just so you know.
I would love for that to
Because
happen.
the thing I do for you guys is I could get a home games tattoo.
We could sponsor
Don't do
JC.
that.
You'll pay him $50 to get it on his forehead.
I'm getting it on my throat. For you, buddy.
That's commitment.
No, because it's like a square. You'd have to put it somewhere where you can be like,
I can put a square on my throat. Don't
I've seen him do it.
even think for a second I can't square up this throat.
JC
Synovia,
squares up.
Synovia also said that she wanted, because I asked her in the podcast when we did one together, if she would want more branding or more, more things that aren't just that logo. And she said no at the time, but then later it was like, well, actually, I think it'd be nice to get kind of a more like a widescreen thing of that living room, just basically the same picture but with the full living room around it with some more detail. So I think maybe that one would fit JC's throat more, kind of go more around the widescreen and kind of wrap around a
Like
little
a
bit.
panoramic.
You don't have to worry.
Yeah.
I can fit a lot
Now-
of stuff around this throat.
Jesus. Now, I wanted to point something out. In episode 3, Synovia says that the couch doesn't make any sense because it doesn't have a bottom. I would take it one step further. The couch is also facing the wrong direction.
Yeah.
And no one pointed that out last time.
Synovia pointed that out to me a long time ago, but she didn't mention it on the thing. But yeah, it's whatever. There's a TV behind the couch, and let's just say that you're on the couch facing that couch, and you can't even see the couch that you're on. You know, it's a first-person experience.
What if you're looking at a mirror? That doesn't work either. Hold up.
I actually do really like the logo though.
Yeah,
it is
me
sick.
too.
I would definitely, and the colors too are like definitely colors that I would wear.
Oh, here, I'm gonna go. We said that we'd put up the thing. I'm gonna tweet that person's name, the person who did the logo on Fiverr, because I never actually put it in our description for the podcast because that just felt weird. I'll just tweet it, and then the people who listen to this and follow the Home Games Twitter, which is actually 0 people.
I follow Home Games Twitter.
Yeah, but you don't listen to this. You make.
I
this.
do listen to this.
Yeah, but you're not real.
also
You know what I mean?
part of it.
Yeah, you know what I'm
Don't
saying.
Doesn't count. It counts according to Spotify. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we do have
I'm one of the numbers.
we do have a non-zero amount of listeners, which surprises me, and we have at least one person, according to our location stats, that I think that we don't know at all. So that's a pretty weird feeling.
Wait, where are they?
I'm not going to say it on the thing, but there are people that I don't know who they are. Or
Can you say it and then cut it out? Nice. Yeah. So back on it. That's really cool, Joseph.
What's really cool?
If
I don't know what I'm going to edit out.
Website.
Okay, yeah, the website.
The website.
There
It's
we go.
really cool, man.
Thank you.
There's a lot of that section that we're gonna have to edit out, but it is a really cool website, and I like it a lot.
It's going to be a tough editing job.
Thank you for me.
Whatever. It'll be a challenge. Episode 5, the editing challenge.
You see this any percent speed run editing.
What
For people who don't know,
What kind of mic do you use,
who?
Joseph?
I forget the model name, but it's a Rode condenser mic. RODE. It's like if you look up just Rode condenser mic, I'm pretty sure it's the most popular one. It's some bundled package I got with a pop screen on it.
That's cool.
What does the pop screen do?
Stops pops.
Yeah, because I think when you talk and you're just like spit through it or sound through
There,
it, you know.
there's certain words like the word pop.
Yeah.
When you're going, like this is probably terrible. What I'm doing.
Yeah.
For people who don't know, is that Joseph and I both made the actual pop noise. We didn't say pop
I didn't make any
at
noises.
the same time. But did you not?
I did
You did the lip thing.
I did, but I didn't.
Oh, I made the noise.
I didn't loud pop like you did. I did like
Pop,
the
pop.
hollow pop.
Hollow pop. That's a good name for a band.
I'm thinking about getting myself an SM7B microphone with a Fed head preamp. You know, sort of a Zoom H6.
You know who would
Probably
know
get an
is
isolated
would know.
studio. Everything he
I
said is real.
basically, for people who don't know, the room that I record in is so empty that it echoes hilariously loud. And the fact that that podcast, I haven't noticed it at all, is just a marker of how much work Joseph puts into this.
Well, no, I mean it. I think I actually honestly have no idea. I don't do anything in Audacity to make it sound better. It just sounds bad to me, and I let it go because I can't really do much.
Goddamn.
What I want to do. I feel like the day that we can call this whole thing like a real audio recording setup is when we have one of those rooms with like cup holders all over the wall. You know what I mean? To catch all the sound and to isolate the sound or whatever
I
it is.
don't think they're called cup holders.
They're called
but I
cup
know what you
holders.
mean.
You drink the sound later.
I know it.
Put it back in your
I
body.
know what you mean.
It's like Hustle and Flow. There's the episode, or there's the scene in Hustle and Flow, and he's like he has to go and do the whole sound thing, but he just lines the whole wall, I think, with I think it's cup holders or something.
He ends it with solo cups.
Does he?
Yeah.
I don't remember. Anyway, the point is we need an audio room like that, not your echo chamber or my bedroom.
Who are your sponsors this episode, by the way?
We should make up fake sponsors.
Oh. Okay, each of us make up a fake sponsor, and then we each do the plug. Okay, so Joseph, what's your fake sponsor? What's your plug?
No, I don't have a joke that's just hilarious on the spot like this. I'm just saying it'd be funny if we had fake sponsors.
Yeah, I was just like,
okay, JC.
this episode, we'd like to thank Dashface. Dashface is your one-stop app for ordering stuff off of the Facebook Marketplace. Do people still use that? Well, Dashface is trying to make you. They steal your information. That's fine.
That's it. They steal your information. That's fine.
That's fine. That's their slogan.
They didn't send me a really good blurb, you guys.
God, Jesus, Jason.
I like that. That would totally work because it's like DoorDash and Facebook. So it's like a delivery service for people who are selling things on Facebook Marketplace and delivering it to buyers. That's actually real. Could be. Dash Face.
Proud sponsor of the Home Games Podcast.
Yeah, I like it.
Give me your information.
Dash Face representative, JC.
And then, so, did you have any topics you wanted to cover, Joseph or JC?
No. I just wanted to mention that I met Young Thug. We have a website, and then the goal for November is to fix up bugs. So on the next podcast, I'll probably give an update on the status of all of that, and then the one after that would be probably the first one where you guys are kind of on your own, right?
The first one after that?
Because we'd be recording that one in 2 weeks, and it's currently the 16th of November, so that would be December.
You're right.
So we got one more show until you guys are on your own.
We'll be on our own. That was the last thing I wanted to mention, is that next week, Joseph and I will be recording in the same room.
Yes.
And it'll be either really good or terrible.
Where are you guys going to meet up?
We'll be in the echo chamber.
Yeah, we'll be in the echo chamber.
Can I come over? Just hang out.
Yeah.
Say yeah. That's what he said.
I don't have to go if you don't want me there, okay?
Oh, yeah.
No, I get it.
What?
No, it's fine. We'll go.
You are invited. Synovia's also invited. We could do a 4-person one.
Do you have pluggies for the... Because I'm just curious of how the mic setup is going to work. I can definitely take a laptop and my own microphone, and just to be safe.
Well, so here's the thing, is that my mic has a couple of settings where either all the sound comes from one direction or sound comes from the whole thing.
Yeah.
So we could do this in the echo chamber, or if we could do this in like the echo cavern, which does echo a lot, but we would all be sitting around like the central table and just talking to each other.
That's what
With
Synovia...
maybe the laptop, and we could plug this in there and we could record it if Synovia wants to go too.
That's what Synovia and I did for ours. We had one mic between the two of us, but you have to be kind of equidistant from it, all of you, and you have to be talking at the same volume. So it just seems really hard.
That's a real struggle for us.
That sounds like a fun game to play.
So I just think maybe... because if it's going to be multiple of us, like we don't have a bunch of mics and we can't really easily get a bunch more mics without being ballers. So I think I should just take this mic and have my laptop there. So at the very least, we'll have 2 separate sources of it so people don't have to be screaming from across the room or whatever.
Okay. That works. Yeah, I mean, we have a couple options. We'll try out a couple of things and like record them and we'll just see how it goes.
I could also break into Alex's room and take his microphone. I think he's got a decent one.
All right.
I also have some...
But I was actually going to ask a question. Is there an idea to play games with audio where you have to talk into your phone or something and that the game takes that into account?
I think so.
Oh, there is
Like
a
popcorn.
really funny game where it's like a platformer, and this little creature like is running, and to make it jump, it depends on your shouting, and like
Oh,
the
I've heard of
height of
this.
the jump is like how hard you're shouting. So it's like you're just watching this little
This
thing
can't
run,
be
and you just
real.
have to screech at it.
It's like Flappy
Can you give
Bird or
us an
whatever.
example?
But you have to like
Oh my god!
in order to make it.
Oh my
yeah.
god! That's the thing is we make Flappy Bird, but with the audio component is the only way to increase altitude, and so you have to scream at a constant so that it just goes to the center.
We definitely could do that. We can also do it multiplayer that, so it's just everybody screaming into their phone.
Oh god!
And a bunch of Flappy Birds or whatever. Yeah, it's just if you think about what this is and realize that at a certain like maybe not every device has a mic. Maybe not every device has a mouse or whatever. Like, so what if we wanted to do custom cursors or something like that within a game? It's like, okay, well, that works if you're doing desktop, but what about if you're doing mobile? It's completely different things. So maybe, yeah. I think we should have the whole audio mic thing or whatever in a phone and allow people to do all that stuff. But then it might also be cool to be like, okay, well, if I'm making a music game and someone joins this thing with a desktop with a keyboard and a mouse and no webcam, no mic, how can they play this music game or how can they do something in this music game? And kind of adapting to different inputs and stuff like that. And what's the interface for a game developer to say what is and what isn't allowed within their game kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean. The other thing too is like, I think also to some extent you have to put it on the host for the home game server, because if the host is hosting it and they're like, oh yeah, let's all play, and then Steve doesn't have a mic, Steve really can't play a game where you have to shout at your screen, can he? So maybe maybe like there is some. I feel like there has to be some responsibility on the host to not just pick games, but to also like intelligently pick games, or to like in the description for the game be like, hey, these are the recommended or the requirements for this game. Like, hey, you need a mic, you need a keyboard, you need a mouse, you need a touch screen. Like, just listing off like what do you actually need in order to play. And then also like the maximum players, which I guess goes back to like the dashboard what we were talking about. Like, how do you say
this is
what
full.
games are available to even be played? But
Yeah.
we already scrapped doing that for a little bit, so we'll address that, I think, when we get back around to it. But I think it would be kind of cool to play a game where there was an audio component.
For sure.
Maybe like a music game where you have to sing, or
Well, it's like
Rock Band.
Yeah, well, let's just make Rock Band. Well,
I think what would be better is that if that you had no instrument and your mouth was the only instrument, so you had to make the like drum beats and the guitar and the bass and the vocals.
Well, it's like the Wii Music thing when me and Zenobia had our episode and we talked about, she basically said that something like, you know, someone has an instrument and you're just making little beats or whatever. What if it's, okay, well, Yazid's the drummer. He moves his phone and he makes a drum sound. Joseph is the guitarist, so he moves his phone, whatever, and he gets this kind of a sound, or a bassist or whatever. And then you can have a vocalist in there as well, and you can make a band out of your phones. And it's like the Wii Music type thing, but hopefully better.
I think that'd be pretty cool too. Yeah, I think we might want to look into that in the future. That's like a enhancement task.
Yeah, I think
to add receiving audio.
that would be a fun one to implement, because that's kind of that's just client work, and client work is just fun to work on because it's the stuff where it's more specialized into like browser stuff and not just writing stuff in the Node game thing. It's like I'm actually writing something to talk to that, and then that would be something that we have to implement in Android and iOS later on, the whole microphone stuff, if we were to do that. Like every piece of client work is work we have to do for every client. Yeah,
That's true. That is pretty cool though. I like this idea. We should move forward with it at some point. But first, Frogger in December, Slaps, and the word match game in November.
wouldn't it be rad? Okay, okay. How about this is like our end of the decade wrap up goal, because we're also going to be in the same place when we record our end of the year one, because I'll be back home again and we can do that whole thing. right?
Hell yeah.
So what if the goal is on that day we play whatever you make?
Oh God. Ooh. Okay. Okay.
It's close to the end of the month and all that kind of stuff. And
You're
I
right.
think it'd be kind of fun to do because we'll all be in the same room, and it's seriously the perfect use case for everything that we've trying to been building. So yeah, I don't know.
And
It
we
seems-
can cuddle.
Yeah, that too. We can get that on camera. Do a little home games video special.
Oh, do we have a home games YouTube?
We don't actually. It's
It's the one thing we don't have.
I think Sonobi and I talked about that. We're not opposed.
Yeah, you guys did about doing a tutorial.
Yeah, we're not opposed to creating it. I just haven't done it yet.
Okay, that's fine. I think this will be good.
I also feel like the day that people see us is the day this podcast ends.
Dies. Yeah, I agree. I agree 100%.
Two beautiful boys.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then I'm there too.
Ah.
Got him.
Oh, nice.
That was good.
Okay. Is there anything you want to go over, JC, or talk about?
You should ask JC questions.
Okay. So, JC, I have a question for you, and this came up on episode 3 as well. You'll hear me reference that a lot, and that's partially because I just listened to that this week, and I loved it a lot. I listened to it like twice. But if you had the choice between every time you put on your seatbelt, the little buckle burns you, or you get gum on your pants every time you sit down in your car.
It burns.
It's seriously not a question. I have no idea.
It's a non-question, dude. I don't know how Sonobi was arguing this. This is
Sonobi
ridiculous.
said gum, and she was very very
Serious.
confident about that answer.
Well, I mean, like, some people don't want pain every day of their life.
I'm used to it.
Yeah, but the gum,
You can wash gum.
that's twice a day. How many times do you get in your car per day? 2 to 3 times.
That's like... And, like, at that point, you'll become a pro and you'll have, like, anti-gum solution at the ready.
What if that's an ice pack in your pants, right? That's an ice pack on top of your butt, so it makes
It's like, honestly, you'll probably have, like... You'll saran wrap your butt every time you get into your car.
No, because you have to have pants contact.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can't cover it.
Yeah.
But can, like, if I applied a thin layer of Vaseline on my pants and then sat down?
I think that's...
Is that better or worse than
It's a
gum?
thin layer, so it'll just look like I'm greasy all the time. But I won't have gum on me.
But if you do ice pack under the pants, then it's just super cold, and then the gum will basically be frozen, and you can chunk it off instead of having.
Yeah, but then you got cold booty.
Oh, hey,
I'm
look who
fine
it
with
is.
that. Okay, so the whole thing is Yazid and I were talking for like 30 minutes or 45 minutes, just recording our podcast, and then we got JC in and kind of just asked him some stuff and had a little conversation. We were about to wrap up, and then it was like, okay, well, Alex is on. You want to get Alex, and of course I want to get Alex. So if you want to, you don't have to. We can just talk like normal. Or if you want to be on the podcast, you can start recording stuff, and then we can work out a way to basically ask you questions. You can ask us questions, and I'll edit it all together into the podcast. Totally up to you, whatever you want.
What do you guys talked about in the rest of your podcast?
We talked about the fact that I met Young Thug. We talked about the fact that we really haven't updated the core home games app in a week. We talked about our plans for the home games thing, and how JC and Yazid are going to make a game in December. Basically, my goal is to get the tools ready for them before the end of November, and then they'll spend that month building something. And then at the end of the month, we're gonna record an episode where we basically play the thing that they built, and then kind of use that as the jumping off point for 2020.
Oh shit! What are you guys gonna make the game in? Like just straight JavaScript? Are you gonna make an own app and just host it on your website or what?
Well, the whole thing is just the core, like node server running all the games and building the platform for that. So everything like on a web browser will be JavaScript on the client, but eventually it'll be Android and iOS stuff to read that. But I don't think I want to host this outside of Pico de Gallo, and Pico de Gallo will always just be kind of like a running demo, but never really intended to be a used hosted thing. If that makes sense.
I got you. So you're basically making Flash game website. You're making miniclip.com.
Oh, we're making
Yeah,
new
You're
grounds.
making
Newgrounds.
newgrounds.com/mature is what you're telling me.
Yeah, that's the goal.
It's actually pretty cool.
Thank you.
Right now, the idea is Frogger. We're gonna make multiplayer Frogger.
Like someone gets to play the truck.
No.
That would be fun. That's what I
Multiplayer-
was saying. We would get
Why does everyone want to play the
Dude, I wanna
truck?
Because
fucking
they
hit
want
someone.
to kill frogs.
I would love to hit JC with the truck.
I think there's something in there where you could have one person controlling, like imagine,
The truck.
like imagine a thing where you have a game where it's one person who has to have a desktop, like has to have a screen with a keyboard and a mouse, and then you have 4 that have to be on phones or whatever, and those phones are the frogs, and the guy on desktop is clicking stuff to control the trucks, and that's the game. And you can have that person in a different room, and that person or whatever you say, whatever. I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
there's an idea there,
I like that.
but that's a whole.
Oh, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
We can try. I don't know what that
Honestly,
would be like.
when I play Mario Party, my favorite type of game is 1 versus 3. You know, it's,
Because you like to
Get-
beat up your friends.
yeah, I like to be the one asshole. That's like the best part about it. Bro, you ruined
Okay.
the cast.
So, just a quick introduction. Alex is our also reoccurring guest, and this is his first appearance on the podcast. He and I and Joseph have known each other, and JC have known each other now for like so many years. It's been a long time.
We all went to middle school
He's-
together. That's the.
We did.
Yeah,
Middle school.
Not high school,
Alex didn't
yeah.
go to the same high school, but I did know him in high school, and then we all went to college together, and now we're all outside of college, and we all still know each other.
Alex is also the third person to ever touch the Home Games code base. He actually has contributed Home Games code, which is pretty
Oh yeah,
cool.
I just
Yes.
added a deck of card thing. That's about it.
He's being humble, but he really actually did implement Home Games logic, which is fun.
Yeah, he did. Alex also a now retired professional developer. He's looking to exit retirement soon.
Yeah, hit my midlife crisis at age 12, so I'm about overdue.
For people who don't know, Alex is a very intelligent developer as well.
We're all smart and we're all programmers, and we've all known each other since middle school.
Well,
I wouldn't say we're
we're
all
all
smart.
programmers. let's just give the truth here. We're all programmers. Some of us may be smart. One of us is only good at some stuff and very terrible at other things.
That's me. Talking about me.
We're all smart and good. Can we not do this?
Yeah,
No.
we're right. We're not allowed to insult yourself, I think.
Alex has
is
a
the
rocking
rule.
body.
I've always thought I was dumb as fuck. I feel like we're only smart occasionally. You know,
That's
We're all dumb
accurate.
as fuck
More accurate.
and all smart at the same time. That's the duality of man.
really is.
That's what Socrates said.
Okay, so, Alex, to put you on the spot, what's your hot take of the week?
Hot take of the week, dude.
Yeah.
I love being a morning person now. I woke up at 4 a.m. yesterday. Like,
Listen, hold on a second. I think a morning person isn't the kind of person who wakes up at 4 a.m. That's like a
That's the morning person.
off-timed person. No, morning starts when the sun rises.
That's not true. 4 a.m. is the ultimate
Yeah.
morning person.
Yeah.
It's the
But-
best feeling.
spoken like a weeknight person. Fucking
I bet you don't even drink water.
yeah, dude.
I only drink water.
Go drink your Dr. Pepper, kid.
I don't own Dr.
Waking up
Pepper.
at 4 a.m. is a great feeling because you can do things for hours, and then people like you are waking up at 9 a.m.
Yeah.
and they're like, "Oh, time to start the day," and you're like, "Man, I've been
Yeah,
working."
dude. I did 2 hours. I woke up at 4, did 2 hours of RuneScape grinding, and then went to the gym. And I got back at like 7. I was like, holy shit. That's basically an entire day for me normally. Like, that's all I can
Oh
accomplish.
my god.
It's like, God. I was like, God.
This man just said that in 3 hours he accomplished his whole day's work. No, I take the opposite approach. Well, actually, I'm gonna be honest. Because I have to wake up earlier on Saturdays to do this podcast, I actually have been getting more comfortable with waking up earlier and being functional earlier on the weekends, and I've been really liking it. But not 4 a.m., dude. That's
Yeah,
it.
that's what
the 4 a.m.
You should
is
try
a
it
try
once.
it.
It's a bit of an
Try it once.
outlier, honestly. I want to wake up like 6 to 8, but I was waking up at 5 p.m., before 4 a.m. So that was me trying to fix my schedule, and I kind of
You're really going
undercorrected.
through it.
5 p.m. is both before and after 4 a.m.
Yeah. True. I had to
We
get
live
over
in
the
society.
jet lag somehow, though.
Yeah. Okay, all right. Here's what we'll do. Next week, Joseph will be in town, so we'll do a 4 a.m.
4 a.m. Holy shit.
Well, I'll wake up at 4 a.m., go to the echo chamber, and see how this whole thing goes.
I don't think the echo chamber can hold that many people.
I'm looking at it right now. It can definitely hold 4 of us.
Yeah. I'll sit
What,
in
like
your
the
lap.
area around the mic, you think could still hold 4 people?
No, but it would work. I mean, it wouldn't be comfortable or good, but it would work.
I have a better idea. We're gonna go to the Echo Cavern, which is the rest of this place.
Well, as long as
we'll try it there.
as long as we have multiple mics, it should at least
Yeah.
even out some of that.
I think it should be okay.
All right, Alex.
What's up?
Let's say that you're a person, and let's
All right,
say
can't
that
relate
you
already.
have.
All right.
And-
Big ask, but okay.
What does it take for you to go and build something in home games? Like, what do we need to provide for you to like be interested or whatever, and then learn about how to do stuff? Or would you, or whatever? Like, if I'm trying to get you, how do I get you?
Basically just recognition. That's it. Just say good job. That's all I need.
All right, we'll build a custom home games toolkit that just has all the like, it's basically just an IDE. And every time that you hit enter, an animation comes up with like a video of me and Yazid, and we tell them thank you and good job.
You don't need to bake it into the thing. What the fuck?
You want a good job? I don't know. What does that mean?
I want you to slap my ass every time I make a commit.
All right, we can do that. I don't know if that's very scalable though for the open source community going forward. We'll have to fly out. That'll be a Patreon tier. I'll fly to you and slap your ass.
Stretch goals, stretch out.
One of the home games crew will come down, slap that booty.
Oh my god.
Walk
All right.
over and do that right now.
Are you
I'll
guys
basically
like?
edit out all that.
Are you guys gonna like make a ton of small games, or make like one big one, or make an Undertale 2? What's happening?
I think right now we're just trying to get something that we can technically call games, and then once we see, oh well, like something, for example, is saving a game. There is no need to save a game currently because there's nothing that you would save. It's all ephemeral, if you want to use a tech guy word. It's all just it'll go away.
Yeah,
And,
this is like a profile.
It's not even a tech guy word.
Yeah,
That's
are
just
ephemeral.
like
tech guys throwing around the word ephemeral?
Ephemeral storage. It's like memory, RAM,
Yeah.
and all that. Yeah.
I see, I
Yeah,
didn't know that.
Joseph's not wrong. It's not only
It's
a
also
tech guy
something
word.
that Gandalf would say.
It's one of those words that people don't use, and then tech people use it to feel smart. Anyway, point is, I'm trying to feel smart, ephemeral, and you don't need to save any games. So it's like, well, I can just refresh this page, and everything I've done in this game goes away. So maybe we'll get to the point where we realize that we have the ability to build an Undertale 2 or whatever, and it's like, okay, well, we should save this. But then how does that work when you're saving a game to a game server that is just basically maintained by a person? Do we have some sort of home games file format that we have to make to like serialize a game state and all that? We could do that, but that's a whole question, So
Yeah.
I guess we don't really know yet.
Just do cookie, I guess.
But then we still have to we'd have to do the work to be able to write and read that cookie. We basically own that whole format. So what does that cookie look like? And then that's a cookie, but it only works on the JS client. What about iOS or Android? Stuff like that.
I see. So you mean actually just working through and developing something?
Yeah, we're kind of just figuring out this whole thing as we go. Like, we started the podcast without really knowing what we were going to talk about, and here we are with 4 of us talking about meeting Young Thug and slapping your ass, It's like, okay, well, we're kind of going for it. And then
Goddamn right.
the tech side as well, we're just kind of going for it. So we don't really have an end goal. I think I said a long time ago that I'm trying to just get the engine to some point of being done, and then we just maintain it. And then in my head, there's just people who are interested in building games for it. But at the same time, I'm building games for it, and I feel like that'll be my hobby kind of going forward because I want to build tools that allow me to build games.
I see. Maybe, do you have any like solid process yet, or any semi-solid process? Or are you just meeting up whatever y'all feel like it?
Well, we do this every week, so the whole thing is that this schedule kind of sets the schedule for all of our work, because we kind of need to have things to talk about. So we kind of need to work on it every week. So then we kind of just move forward as a result of the schedule of the podcast, because we have to create something, and it kind of just drives everything else.
Gotcha. Okay. I was wondering if there was any regularity going on. You got sprint plannings and retros and shit.
We view this as that.
Podcast is like Activia.
Keeps us regular.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of what Joseph said is exactly correct. I actually would rather us not have long form games and just be like short games for people to play together and then put away.
Yeah.
Like I think I agree with Joseph's original statement. I think on episode 0 or something, we were talking about like the idea is that people just load up a game, they play that game, and that's it. They put it down. They're like, okay, cool, that was fun. Like we had fun. We came over, we hung out, played this game.
So you want social games?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I like the idea of home games is for people to be social with each other.
Yeah.
Because like sometimes you're hanging out, like you're chilling at somebody's house, and you're like, okay, cool. Like I have board games, but they don't fit this many people. Or okay, cool. Like we play on the Switch, but like I don't have enough like controllers. So what are we gonna do? And their choices are like to play games and talk, or just to talk. So yeah.
At the very, I mean, it's that's what I thought too. It's kind of like, okay, everything should be social, everything should always be rooted in this multiplayer thing, but as a result, we're kind of building this rendering logic and node. Like you could basically define components or whatever, like in React, right? React is super popular in JS, so people already have this understanding of components and children, and on some level they're building a tree. And the whole updating state, it's really that same kind of thing, but for a video game. And the benefit is, instead of DOM elements, it's sending over things that we kind of write clients to render. So at its core, that doesn't need to be multiplayer. So maybe in the future we realize that we want to use this rendering stuff, but really don't want to mess with home games, and we kind of want to build something else. Then maybe that's when we move out to Squisher, to like squish.js, you know, some core library that you can then depend on squish.js to create something else that is a single player game that's more fleshed out or whatever. And then people can depend on squish.js, and you know, that'll be owned by home games still, and a home games thing, but it's not home games.
Yeah, no, I agree with what you said. If in the future we say like, oh, like it would be cool to make a long form game, okay, that's fine. But I think right now I would rather us focus on like the social aspect of it.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, like it's like let's make games that are fun for people to play like in groups.
Yeah, because it's like the thing that we've learned is that people like us tend to just go off of ideas and then half build the idea and then come up with another one and keep it going. So we kind of need that thing to keep us focused, and so we can't really stray far away from this whole social games, local multiplayer, phones, and maybe desktops. That's really the focus right now.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah. So in that regard, I think Joseph and I are aligned again. Joseph and I really, truly are the mind meld going on.
But yeah, I think Alex, it might be fun for you if you want to, like, kind of work with JC and Yazid on what they're going to be building their Frogger stuff, or it might also be valuable for you to just kind of do it on your own if you feel like that would be more fun for you or more valuable for you.
I think I just really got to know what the tool set is, because I have like ideas on shit to do. You know, I can make visual novel or fucking horror game or just something terrible or whatever, but I just don't understand the tool set you guys are using. But it seems like honestly, you guys kind of do. So
you should, if you want to get that familiarity, I would say that the best way to do that right now is just go to the repo and look at gameserver.js. And then that game server is loading a game, and you can go to the source of that game, and that game is like 100 or 150 lines of JS. That's really just like a class definition and some functions, and that's it. And if you can kind of add to that and build to that, and that's basically all the tools that we have today.
Like how the most recent commit says add bad code.
That's on master. Sorry, I meant the player list branch is the most up to date one.
Oh,
okay. The other thing too is like what we're trying to figure out is what tools we even need to begin with. because we have some tools for the games that we've built so far, where Joseph's really put in a lot of the effort to build so far, but I'm sure we're missing stuff still.
We're missing a ton of stuff.
There's got to be things that we just don't have and we've never ran into yet. I mean, games is like I don't want to get like too technical with the vocabulary, but games are like an infinite set almost of possibilities, and trying to figure out like what you need to do to cover as much of that infinite set as you want to.
At a certain point, we would need some sort of a technical leader, which I guess should be me, but I don't have that kind of a opinion yet. Of like, these are the things that we're putting in, and these are the things that we're not putting in. I just don't think I've seen something that I don't want yet, and that's kind of part of the problem, is because I just kind of want to keep adding stuff.
Yeah, you're fucking going ADHD rampage.
No, I think it's fine. I think it's fine because I think I'd rather us get as big a set as possible of things that you could do, and then saying like, okay, but here's the things that we don't want you to do.
Yeah.
Basically.
Gotcha.
Like build an exclusion list instead of a whitelist is the idea. Like yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because ultimately it's like us handing this to a person who wants to make a game, which I think is you, Alex.
Oh yeah.
And
quite a few people.
it's like, okay, I don't want you to be frustrated with the tools or think that it's hard to get into. The point is to be easy for you to do whatever you want within some sort of confines that we've set. It's just we don't know what those confines are.
Yeah. Definitely once you get over that, we get over that hump, whatever it is, like the whole building an engine part. But it's kind of strange you guys are starting with that. I thought you would like just, let's fuck around in this already existing JavaScript or library bullshit to make some game as like a starting point.
Like, I've built a game before with Connor, another friend of mine, but it was all based on this JS library called Coquette, something like that, and like it's fine, but JC mentioned earlier his difficulty is always that he's building on top of something that already is there, so he doesn't feel like he doesn't really get the value or like the understanding of building something, because it's really knowing that you're building it on top of something that kind of already does all the magic for you.
I don't see how the sausage gets made.
Yeah.
I just cooked the sausage.
So I think for me personally, I view the goal as being like you building a sausage factory or whatever that everybody can understand. You know, it's like you could see that you could go into the code and realize like, oh, this actually isn't that crazy. The crazy part is the part where it's saying this type of thing is this number. Okay, well that's hard at a certain point, but really it's just logic to follow, you know? There's nothing crazy in there. So that's kind of why we're starting at this and building it all ourselves instead of building on something else. Because eventually we're going to have to build something ourselves anyway. So we're always going to hit that, how do you make a game engine? So I'd rather start there than be there in the middle.
Then end up there.
Yeah. And then we have a podcast and all this stuff going, and it's like, well, actually we can't do what we wanted to do because none of these games that we built would really go over to that unless we do this weird interface thing that we have to move. It would be starting, in my opinion, at the wrong place.
Yeah, it's an episode about how we fucking hate Unreal Engine or something.
Yeah, it's figuring out Unity, episode 639 of the Home Games podcast.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I agree. I also think it's like, I think it's better to not use libraries unless you really have to begin with.
Really?
So I'd rather us just build what we could build, and if we ever ran into a place where it was like, we can't do this, then we look at using a library.
Yeah, because
kind of deal.
At the end of the day, it's a side project and it's ours. I want it to be ours as much as possible.
Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah.
I'm definitely like a more practical maker of bullshit, like when I'm like coding or something. So I don't feel a lot of guilt about just slapping a amalgamation of libraries together. Just sounds like you might not be that type of person. You see?
No, like at work, it's like in a professional setting, I think there's some real use out of rapidly being able to take a library that's already there and just kind of plugging it in.
I feel that way in a
My
personal
issue is more
setting.
of like...
I feel it in a personal setting too, though.
Oh, yeah, I think in a personal setting, I'm more against that, mostly because it's like... In a personal setting, I don't feel the time constraint. In a professional setting, it's definitely time gated. I need to get this thing out now as soon as possible, and the fastest way to do that is to find the library that works, that a lot of people are using, that's easy and valid and correct to just plug it in and use it. I don't know. That's my thinking, though. I think on a personal project where it's not like your livelihood's dependent on it, you can take your time. You can write your own libraries. You can write your own code blocks. You can write your tests and all that stuff, which is actually something I was going to ask you about, Joseph, that I'm remembering it. Are we ever going to write unit tests?
We can write unit tests for the squisher and stuff. I think we talked about this last time, right? Where it was like you could...
I don't think so.
Maybe it was not on the podcast, but it was... at a certain point you can test that the squisher works, and I think that's really the only thing I want to test is that... Maybe we could have some other stuff eventually. I'm not saying in the long run. But right now, the only thing I think that we can really test is if I say that this game node is 50% of the screen and it starts at the 25% start of the screen or whatever, and it's red and it has this kind of properties, and then I say squisher.squish and then squisher.unsquish or whatever, it should give me the same thing. Basically, from this array of numbers, can I get a 50-50 red node middle square thing, whatever, you know what I mean? And that's about it, I think, for right now. And then in the future, I'll probably look into more ways to kind of separate things out into just individual little testable things. But I mean, everything else is so simple. The squisher, I think, is really the thing that needs to be tested. But it's like, oh, can I pass a game session a game and have get game, return game? Yeah, because that's just how JavaScript works. So, like, you know?
Yeah, I agree about not worrying about getters and setters maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. But maybe that'll...
Like, if you push an update, does that update take?
Yeah, and then that's just making sure that the listener stuff works and all that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think all that. I was going to say something else earlier, but I forgot. But it doesn't matter. Oh. I think it depends heavily on what you're building. In this case, we depend on WebSockets, right? Like, there's a WebSocket library. We're not trying to build a WebSocket library or build the, like, core protocol communication stuff in there or squeeze out the last bit of performance that we could get from the socket in order to speed it up. We're just not there, and we don't... That's not really the
you're
goal.
just at the, oh god, please work.
Yeah, but since we're not trying to build WebSockets, we used a WebSocket library. We are trying to build a game thing, so we want to build the game thing. We're not trying to rely on some other thing because, you know, that's kind of part of what we're trying to do here. If I was building something, a side project that was going to map stuff, I'm not going to build my own software to handle all the different, like, lat-long projections of the Earth and different weird math and all that kind of stuff to do GPS stuff. I'm going to depend on something for that because the value isn't that I'm mapping something, it's what I'm mapping or whatever. So I think, yeah, if I'm building Facebook 2, I'm not going to just import Facebook and then release the app. You know what I mean?
It's not a bad idea.
Yeah, you're right. Let's just do that instead. All right, I'll edit that part out. What do you call it?
Yeah.
That's legal to say, Wagon. Never mind.
Legal and yeah, sure. Yeah, you're right. Fuck it. We'll leave that in.
Yeah, it's important.
No, we're not.
Can't wait for my
Make a stand.
Zuckerberg lawsuit.
All right, well, we're at like 2 hours and 15 minutes, and I'm gonna have to edit this to like half that. Does anybody want to say any, or does anybody feel like we're missing something? Because this feels like a hodgepodge. So when I edit this later, I'll have to figure out some artistic things.
Thanks in advance, Joseph, for taking the editing burden.
Yeah, that's a big
thank you.
boy task right there.
One other thing is that Tynan is officially making music. I don't know when that's going to be done or whatever, but we will have music for this podcast sometime in the world
Shit.
in the future.
I'm imagining like
That's super exciting. I'm very excited. Is it using your initial, like, base?
No. You're the only
No.
person I've showed that to.
I'm imagining it sound like
Also,
elevator music.
yeah.
You think this podcast needs elevator music? That's how boring you think we are?
That's what I imagine when I think of a podcast.
Yeah, we'll figure something out.
You know, put-
Do you know my brother describes my taste in music as elevator music?
Oh my god.
I can see that.
It's not an.
Is he
It's
wrong
like
though?
it would be like a cool hip elevator.
I don't know about that, JC. I don't think you've listened through my whole.
I mean, I've
Library
sat
sounds
in your
like that.
car for a while
That's true.
when Noi was playing.
I don't really have anything else. Thanks, Joseph,
Thanks,
for
Joseph.
editing. Thank
Love
you, Alex and JC, for joining us on episode 5.
My
Oh yeah, this
first
was
and final
episode 5.
Holy
This was a-
It
shit.
was episode 5.
Yeah, this was
Yeah.
a big thing.
It's
So you
super
guys got
exciting.
in. You guys got in a good time. It's a celebration.
Whoa.
It is a good celebration episode. Just I put a lot of work into these, yeah. I don't have a. I didn't prepare a closing. I just put an
Homegames.io.
opening.
If you're listening to this, check out our
Homegames.io.
website. I think at this point I'm pretty happy with that website. Less happy with the app itself, and we're gonna build that stuff out, and it'll be ready and going in the next month or so. Kind of quite a bit is happening, and yeah, just send us stuff at podcast at homegames.io. You can tweet us at homegames.io. You can do whatever. Thank you for listening. And that's it.
Party on.
Yeah. Bye bye.